So it looks like a few more people joined us, so I think I'm just going to jump in and get started here. So I'm sharing my screen. You should all be able to see QR code celebration. It's our test event we're going to look at today for this. Today's webinar, we're going to talk about QR codes, how they work, what they are, how you can implement them on your documents and make the most use out of them with your team. I have my friends Sarah and Alex in the Q&A in the chat. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in there and we'll do our best to answer them there. So yeah, I think we can jump right in here. Now, one thing I do want to note before we do start is that in order for this feature to work, you'll need an active credit card payment integration. So if you don't have one and you'd like to set one up, customer admin on your site can get that done in settings, online payments by following the instructions on screen. And then once that's done, you'll have access to all these features. All right, so now we've got that out of the way, we can jump right in. First off, what are QR codes? Why are they useful and what do they do? They're a great way for you and your team to add value to an event while it's still happening, essentially. They're essentially little bits of code that hold a URL or a link inside them that when scanned with a phone or a smartphone camera, redirects you to that website and opens the website. So what does that look like on an event? We're going to take a look here. We've got our QR code celebration. The first thing I'm going to jump and take a look at is going to be the Docs tab to show you how that presents. So first, we're going to go to the document that has it, our contract. And you'll see that the QR code populates in the bottom right corner of any documents it's been added to. And we'll also see a little bit of text here, event ID with the specific event ID number listed. That's going to come into play a little bit later. And then we also have this little note, QR codes will not be enabled for guest payments until the venue approves final charges. We're also going to talk about that in a minute as well. Okay, so that's what it looks like on a document. Generally speaking, you would print this out and present it to your guest at the close of an event. All right, and so one thing I want to touch on too while we're on the Docs tab, if we're looking at the contract and event order, I'll click this, you're not going to see that QR code pop up. It's not editable. Can't change any of that information listed there. It just generates on the bottom right of any layout you add it to. Okay. Now, charges added using the QR codes, they're going to appear in a couple different spots. First place you might see it would be the log tab. You'll see if we add something. $40 in beverage was added via QR code on contract, and then it lists the documents and all that information and the event name. You also see the name of the user who added it, as well as the date that it was added. The other place we'll see it is back on that contract and event order. We'll see here, QR code additional items is a new field that's going to generate whenever an item is added. And it's going to populate the quantity. It's going to give it a title, additional, and then whatever category you assign it to when adding the item. For this purpose here, I just added an additional beverage, 4 of them, at $10 a piece, and you'll see whatever category you assign also takes along with it any fees that are applied to it automatically. So that's what that looks like on an event. The spaces, you'll really see it working on an event. Now, how do we put this into practice and get the most out of it? The most common use case I've seen would be closing out a bar tab at the end of the night. You present the BEO or the contract with your QR code. You add anything that you need to, let's say the cash bar, you add that in, and then the guest can scan it and sign off on it and submit payment. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a look at this little screen recording I've got here of the steps. So you'll see you can scan this from a piece of paper or you can scan it from your screen. Let's play here. We're going to follow some steps. So at the venue, you scan it, you click venue, and you enter your name. I'm going to pause here. You'll see me enter my name. And you see me enter a PIN. Now that PIN is going to be the last 4 digits of this event ID. So that's going to be unique and specific to the event that the QR code was generated for. So we're going to pop back over here and you're going to see me enter 6195. That's where I get that number from. Next, it's going to bring me to what looks like the portal. Click new item. I'm going to see I'm going to add a quantity of 4. select a category of beverage, and enter the price at $10 a pop. Once that's done, we're happy with what we've entered, we hit confirm, and that's going to send that item to the documents and to the event. Once we're done with that, once we've added everything, we click send to portal, and that finalizes everything. We can close out of that. So that's how you would add the value on. What does the guest do to approve it? Steps are pretty similar. Come back here. We scan the QR code, except we click guess. Guest is not going to be active until the venue does the first step. Right? They're brought to their portal where they can pay an outstanding balance. Here they can enter their card, or if they have something stored on file, they can use that as well. And they can submit payment here. They're also able to authorize a bank account if they'd like to pay that way. Additionally, they can use the menu up here to access any other features from their portal, such as shared documents, discussion messages, an overview, and any other payments that have been processed for the event. All right, perfect. So once the guest has done that, the venue can either rescan the code and process payment with the authorized method, or the guest can pay right from there and close out the event that way. Any activity handled here will translate back to the log tab like we showed before. All right. So now that we know how to apply the QR codes, or how to use the QR codes and how it reflects in the event, we'll talk about how to actually add it to your documents. So do that, we're going to go down to settings. We're going to click on our documents. We're actually going to stay on this screen. So there's a few things to point out here. First up, we have our contract template. And we'll see a little checkbox for enable QR code here. We'll also see these little flags that say QR code next to them, indicating which documents on the event have the QR code. So we're going to check this checkbox here, and we'll see that removes all of them from all of those documents. If we recheck that, we can go in and we can see these populate along the end, and we can check off which documents we want to get that QR code. Once we're happy here, we click save, and you'll see that the save button changes to modify. So if we want to change them without removing them all, we just hit modify. It brings back the previous checkbox selection. You also see this little question mark here. This is just giving you a little update about what QR codes are and letting you know you need that credit card integration. All right. And I know that's pretty short, but that is pretty much it when it comes to QR codes. One thing to note as well that I'm going to touch on again is that you do need that credit card integration to get this set up. To do that, customer admin can go to settings, online payments, and then they would click add an online payment account to integrate with either Stripe, Square, or Clover Connect. Once that's done, you'll see that the QR code button is enabled, and you can go ahead and edit those as you need. All right, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in that QA. I'm going to leave this running for a little bit so we can get all your questions answered. And then, yeah, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to go help in questions here in the top right. And you can either click have a question, online learning, or triple seat billing to get in touch with us. Thanks a bunch. All right, looks like most people have left here. I'm not seeing any questions. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. Thank you again for joining. I really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.